New York City is in the middle of a high-stakes political fight, and depending on how it ends, your taxes and your rent could all look very different by summer. Mayor Zohran Mamdani is staring down a $5.5 billion budget gap. His solution is to tax the rich. Specifically, he wants the state to raise income taxes by 2% on millionaires and 4% on corporations.
That's why, along with raising the corporate tax, I'm asking for a 2% raise in personal income taxes on the most affluent New Yorkers.
If Albany doesn't act, he says he'll be forced to raise property taxes by 9.5%, hitting homeowners, small landlords, and ultimately renters across the 5 boroughs, the last thing he wants to do. Now here's the data Mamdani is betting on. New York raised taxes on the wealthy in 2021. The top rate jumped from 8.82% to as high as 10.9% for the biggest earners. Critics screamed that millionaires would flee the state. What actually happened? The number of millionaires jumped 37% in 1 year. New York City today has roughly 400,000 millionaires, more than any city on the planet. And a recent CNN poll shows that 54% of New Yorkers statewide support taxing the rich, rising to 62% in the city itself. Standing in his way, however, is Governor Kathy Hochul, who says she's unwavering against the tax hike on the wealthy. She's running for re-election, trying to appeal to suburban moderates, and pointing to a $1.5 billion in state aid she's already sent the city's way. The problem with that is that barely puts a dent in the $5.5 billion hole that exists in the city. Then there's City Council Speaker Julie Menin, who called the property tax idea a non-starter. He says hiking property taxes would hurt small property owners in Black and brown communities. Fair point. But here's the tension. Julie Menin lives in an $8 million apartment she owns with her husband on the Upper East Side. Her husband is a major real estate developer. The one tax she's loudest against is the one that hits real estate the hardest. The millionaire income tax that would hit her own household, much quieter on that one. Menin says the city should focus on finding savings before raising taxes. Sounds reasonable, right? Except finding savings is an old GOP trope for cuts to public services, and in 2026, those services are already on life support. The subway is overcrowded and underfunded, public schools are still recovering from pandemic learning losses, homeless shelters are at capacity, libraries have cut hours, and mental health services are stretched razor thin. When a politician worth millions married to a real estate developer stands up and says, find savings, she's not talking about cutting her husband's tax breaks. She's talking about the programs that working New Yorkers depend on every single day. Conflict of interest or genuine policy disagreement? You decide. New York, like any other city, has issues with money management and the use of budget. And things like the MTA and the Van Wyck Expressway need to be investigated and put under a microscope. But when we are in a crisis, we need a solutions-based approach, not an anecdotal. State legislature is already on board. This week, Democratic lawmakers formally inserted Mamdani's tax proposals into their official budget counterproposal to Hochul. That includes a tax hike on incomes over $5 million and a corporate tax rate increase from 7.25% to 9%. So it all comes down to Hochul. The budget deadline is April 1st. Does she hold the line for suburban donors and moderate politics, or does she bend to a popular mayor, a unified legislature, and 62% of city voters? The last time New York City raised property taxes was under Bloomberg. The last time the state successfully taxed the rich was 2021. And the rich got richer anyway. New York has always been a city that tests whether progressive politics can work at scale. Budget fight is that test live and in real time. What happens in New York can happen in any city in America. What do you guys think?